5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, yes, I have given blood, Minister, and will do so again. I have to say at the outset, I extremely regret and condemn any threats or intimidation that has been made to members of the Poots family in response to the Minister's view. I think that's wholly unacceptable. It's his position, as I mentioned earlier, is articulated, and he has the right to dissent against those views which are different to his. But on his point that is this an issue we should be bringing to this House on this day, well, I have to say the Minister may not consider equality a big issue, one worthy of this House, but the Green Party does. He might not consider the waste of public money a big enough issue for this House, but the Green Party does. He may not consider it important that we seek to uphold the judgment of the courts in this House, but the Green Party does. And he might not consider it a big enough issue that members of this House seek to ensure that government policy is based on the best available evidence as to what is the common good for the public, but the Green Party thinks that is an extremely important issue. The gut discrimination that we've seen, particularly from the Minister's party, and it was mentioned by Mr. Eastwood, by Mr. McAllister, I think, in relation to mental health. The discrimination that is being vocalised by members of the DUP is politics of the gut, and it's sheer gutter politics, and only does harm to our society. Mr. McKinney rightly said that this issue should be about safety first, and the irrational decision of the Minister to have Northern Ireland out of step with the rest of the UK shows that this decision was not based on the best available evidence, was not about safety, but indeed that the equality implications that Mr. McKinney referred to were central to the Minister's position. And it has been stated by those defending the Minister that the court has not found bias in the Minister's decision. But time and time again he has failed to produce evidence to justify his decision. And in the absence of evidence, what other explanation could there be? And I agree with Ms Lowe when she said the burden of proof is on the Minister, as the public perception very clearly is that he has acted on the views of his own personal opinion rather than the best available evidence, rather than the best interest of the health and safety of the public. And that public perception has been demonstrated by the 8,898 signatories to the petition online that the Health Minister should resign or indeed be removed from office. To come back to Mr. Allister's point and indeed Mr. Gibbons' point about is this somehow a persecution of religious belief? It is certainly not that, but I hope it's not being suggested that when a decision is taken on the basis of religious belief that this House should not challenge it, that somehow challenging values is not appropriate in this House. It is the job of this Assembly chamber to ensure that decisions are made on the basis of the common good, on the basis of the public interest. And we must ensure that whatever the motivation for a decision is, we interrogate it, we seek the best possible evidence. I will give way.
If the member is going to give us a lecture on what ought to be ethics, could he tell us what's the basis of common good? And what would be the place where you would look for a definition of what is good and what is wrong if you don't have it on a faith basis?
There's an added minute's time.
I think in this case we look at health and safety of the population, and indeed the Minister has warned in the past that we times face insufficient supply of blood, or risk facing insufficient supply of blood, and therefore to restrict the numbers of those who can give blood, we do harm in the cause of increasing blood donation, harm to the public in terms of health and safety. So I'd ask on behalf of the Green Party and on the 8,898 members of the public who called on the Minister to resign, that if and only if his personal beliefs and values prevent him from acting in the best interest of the public, the best interest of the health and safety of the Republic, that if his beliefs do not allow him to do that, that he step aside and resign as Minister.
Order. Michael Copeland to include an amendment number 1.